Welcome to the DJ Scottos What, Why Now podcast, where I'm inviting special guests onto my show to ask them questions about their life and success stories. For this episode, I've invited another special guest where we're finding out what it was like growing up in East London, starting his football career at Watford, signing for Crystal Palace as the first £1 million teenager, playing for England's under-21s, his transfer to Barnsley where he now lives, he's 17 years in football, making his mark as a DJ in garage, and how returning back to church has changed his life. Why he started the Love Life UK, plus much more. I'm really excited to introduce my very special guest today. Let's make some virtual noise for Bruce Dyer. Bruce Dyer, Palace song that we used to sing about you. But firstly, thank you so much for doing this. How are you, by the way?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I know I've been a pain trying to get you down for a date and time, and I really appreciate you doing this. Before, like every podcast, please can everybody like, share, comment, all the comments, good and bad. I read every single one of them because we're now at number 11. I did ask my listeners to send me a few questions. So the first one was, if there was a movie made of you, what would it be called and who would play you?
Oh my gosh. That's a good call. That is a really good question. What would I call it? The record breaker. Yeah, the record breaker. Who would play me? Oh my gosh, who looks a bit sporty? I don't know, Tyrese or someone.
Yeah. Well, you could play yourself. You know what? At the end of the day, you've done enough stuff on camera, I guess. But yeah. By the way, yeah, congratulations. We'll go through some of your records, by the way. So I think that's a good story to your film. Second question was, who was the hardest player you ever played against?
There's two that I can kind of recall, that we're going old school. Martin Keown. Martin Keown was a tough one. Yeah, he was solid.
Right.
And then Sol Campbell was another one.
Okay.
Sol was strong, quick, powerful. Yeah, they were tough centre backs for sure, 100%.
Was he like how he was with Van Nistelrooy? Was he sort of in your ears, was just telling you what he's going to do, or is he more of a verbal player or more of a physical pain?
Physical. You know what I loved about Martin Keown? I tell everyone this story, true story. We played them in the cup. It was a Palace actually. I think it was a Palace game, and we played them in the cup, and we were tussling a little bit. And I remember Lee Dixon, he gave me this look like, yeah, you don't want to muck around with him. He's a nutter. So I was like, so am I a nutter? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we were tussling. And I remember Martin Keown, he absolutely rattled me in a tackle. He proper smashed me. Like, he really did smash me. And then I thought, like, right, this is my pre-Jesus days, by the way. This is my pre-wild days. And so I thought, right. And so next time a ball came in, I absolutely smashed him, and we fell on the floor. And I'll never forget this. It's like I tried to pull out his eyes, mate. I'm telling you, I tried to claw him. But I never forgot. I never forget this. He just got up like I didn't do anything.
Wow.
And like, it was so funny. And I remember after the game, we shook hands. And I had a lot of respect for him, because what I liked about Martin Keown, he gave it, but he could take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. That was, I tell you.
And I guess I don't know if you did get away with that, by the way, but I guess with all the cameras, the millions of cameras these days, you can't even sneeze on anybody now without getting sent off. So I bet there was some tricks and trades of where the camera might be, and where you could sort of do the things that you can't do now, because it's just an absolute nightmare, isn't it? If you could have worked with under any manager, past or present, who would it be and why?
Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
Arsene, I really professional, dealt with young players really well.
Yeah.
Ian Wright's one of my heroes. Wright, he always spoke well of him. So yeah, I do like Wenger.
Right. If you had to pick a five-a-side team with the players you've played with you included, what would that team be?
So my goalkeepers would be David James, centre half Chris Coleman.
Yeah.
Midfield would be Lombardo.
Okay.
It would be and then you got myself and Paul Furlong up front.
Paul Furlong. Wow. Okay. Where did you play with Paul Furlong? Was that Watford or
What
who was that?
Watford?
Watford.
Yeah.
Wow. And Lombardo, yeah, because that was the year we went up, wasn't it? The Premiership. The first game I went to away to Everton. I think he scored. Yeah, what, by the way, sorry, I know I'm going to try not to talk about Palace too much, Bruce, by the way, but just on him, by the way, what was he like to be around as a person?
Lombardo was class, mate. He was a real professional, really ultra professional, lovely guy. Yeah, he was great. He was great to play with, great to watch in training. Just he was a real model, a role model of how a professional should be in that day. I
Yeah,
remember the players were in awe of him, just in terms of his professionalism. He was really a lovely guy, and a great player. The bald eagle, man, from
yeah, he
Juventus,
was. He was.
legend.
How we got him, I never know. But I just remember him scoring on away to Everton, and I was there, and I was like, wow, how we got this guy, as well as you, by the way. So what was your favourite ever goal? This is the last question.
I'll probably say Barnsley against West Brom in the Championship. I scored an absolute screamer, 30-yarder.
Wow.
It was special.
Yeah. By the way, I've all the research I've done. I've seen your library of goals, video of goals, and there's some great ones, by the way. And I think what was good about you, you could score from far out, but you was also good at getting goals around the box as well, which was great. But I thought you might have mentioned this one.
Eden. Barnsley don't need to rush this. Dyer! Stunning!
Wow,
Simply stunning! Bruce Dyer, welcome to that.
To be fair, I mean that was after that was in retirement.
Yeah.
But
No, sure.
Yeah, but that's up there. That was a special. Yeah, that was an absolute scorcher. Overhead kick, Masters football, great ball from Nicky Eden. I couldn't believe at that age I could still get that high.
Were you? Is that another record? Were you the first person to do that as well? I don't know, because I've not seen any overhead kicks like that ever in the Masters. Nobody can even jump or do that sort of stuff at that age.
Yeah, that goal was special for real, 100%.
Oh, wow. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at some of the podcasts I've done, but the idea of this is to kind of find out kind of where it all started a little bit, where before you got to where people do know you from and have seen you. So from what I understand, you're born around Ilford, you're from East London. What was it like growing up there, Bruce?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, from Ilford. Used to hang around Barkingside, playing football over the park. Yeah, there was a lot of young people that used to hang out. So I've got good memories and I got some bad ones really. But yeah, it was good. I loved my football when I was younger. And so we used to play football a lot, school, over the park, on the estate. And so yeah, that was really instrumental
Sure.
in some of my development as a football, especially because when I was younger, on my estate, I used to play with a lot of the older boys and get knocked about a bit because they were a lot bigger than me. So that actually helped me to be a little bit streetwise and a bit of a bulldozer on the pitch.
Yeah. It hardens you quicker, doesn't it? Because it's like you're there every day or every night playing with these boys, and you can't just bottle out a challenge because sometimes you get hurt more. But what were you like as a child? You mentioned obviously the football. What were you like in general, school wise and academically?
School not the best. Yeah, academically weren't the best. I just wanted to play football, so it was quite evident at a really young age I was passionate about football. I left school with no qualifications, and my last year of school, really, I was really, it's like I did a 3-year scholarship because my last year at school, I was training with Watford 3 days a week and meant to go to school 2 days a week, but I never used to go to school.
Right. It's hard, isn't it, when you've got that kind of like, you've got that goal as a footballer and you think, I can imagine, I've got my oldest is 18 and he just wants to play football. He doesn't care about the scholarship that he's doing with Maidstone. He's just like, I just want to get that pitch. And it's hard to find that balance. And but just around your sort of time with football, when did you know that you were good? Like what age did you say, you know what, I'm good?
Yeah, to 11, probably 11 to 12. Obviously playing for my school teams from junior school, secondary school. Do you know what I mean? I was one of the standout players, quick, scored goals. So yeah, I think from a young age you could definitely see that I had something.
Yeah. Do you have any any siblings? And if so, how did they impact you with your life and your career?
Oh, not at all, really, in the sense that my siblings, they're not into sports.
Right.
My dad weren't into sports. My mum weren't into sports. So that was just something. It was just a desire that I had that I was always passionate about. It wasn't influenced by anyone in my household.
Did they get involved at all? Or
No, they encouraged me.
yeah,
They encouraged me. But in terms of inspiration for football, not really, because they didn't even understand football. My dad didn't like football. My mum didn't have a clue about football. My siblings, they weren't into football. And so it was more of a self-driven thing.
yeah. In regards to sort of moving a bit further on now, obviously, again, doing some research, you've married a lady called Janine, which I've seen on TV. Sadly to say, I'm a Voice X Factor kind of guy. Wow, by the way, she's got some pipes, right? That song that she sung, Bridge Over the Troubled Water, like, absolutely amazing. So I was going to ask, how did you guys meet?
I met her through my brother. My brother used to he formed a group called Raymond and Co.
Okay.
So they won some mobile awards. They're pretty well known on like the gospel circuit. And so I actually met my wife through my brother. When I first became a Christian, I used to. So obviously before my pre-Jesus days, I used to rave, I used to party, I used to be a little bit wild. But when I became a Christian, I changed my lifestyle, changed the places that I went to, etc. And what I used to do, wherever they had a gig, I would just go and support. Do you know what I mean? I'd play my game. Once I'd finished my game, I'd go to wherever they would kind of travel around the country.
Right.
Wherever they were, I'll just kind of drive down and go to an event and chill out. And I end up getting with Janine through that.
So I understand you got 4 boys and a girl. What sort of impact have they had on your life and your career, really, I guess?
When I was playing football, they weren't born. I mean, Josiah, Dion, Dion's 28 now. He was actually born when I was at Palace.
Right.
So he saw a bit of his dad when I was at Palace. Josiah, the kids, probably the only time the kids got to see me play, actually, one of the first times probably was that when I scored that overhead kick.
Oh, wow.
So that was
good timing. Good timing.
That was good timing. So in that sense, they didn't really have. They didn't see. I mean, Josiah. I was at Stoke. He would have been just born. And so they didn't really have no impact. And then my oldest son, he was still young. He got a few Palace games, but not loads. So in terms of my game, not much. But life, your children are your life, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
I love them to bits. They're special kids, man.
Yeah. Josiah's obviously under 18s, or I'm not sure he's made it into them. And I understand he's a striker, or he's playing up as a forward. How's that been now, sort of being a supporter, stroke fan, stroke dad on his career?
Currently, he's a second-year scholar, and he's been doing okay. But yeah, it's been great to see his development. I mean, he's been playing from the age of like 6. Been at Barnsley since he was 6. Now he's 18. And so it's been a really, really interesting journey. He made his debut this year for the first team.
Did he? Oh, brilliant. That must be a well proud moment.
Yeah, which was a really special moment. So he's still developing. He's still got a lot to learn, but it's nice to see that he's definitely going in the right direction. Yeah. And that's awesome.
Is there similarities in the way he plays to you, or does he play in a different way?
We're different. We're actually really different, but he plays more like how I played at the back end of my career. So in my younger years, I was more rapid pace, speeding behind, and then the latter part of my career, it was like that old school number 9, hold the ball up, where he's an old school number 9. Yeah, right. He's definitely an old school number 9, hold the ball up, and he can score a goal.
No, brilliant. Well, that's great. I'll keep the eye out for him, because obviously he'll hopefully come to Palace at some point in the future as well. I guess there was a turning point around 15 years old where there was quite a big moment where you were working with one of the coaches who, Kenny Jackett, I believe, that kind of gave you some brilliant advice.
Yeah, it was difficult because what was happening, I weren't turning up for some games on a Sunday morning, and I was kind of going down a bit of a slippery path. But Kenny Jackett just gave me, I get to do this talk in schools. So I do it in secondary schools, primary, and I do a talk and called, making the right choices. And Kenny just gave me two choices to make, really. The choice of being offered an apprenticeship, as we called it back then. But for me to get that, he said, to leave home, move into digs, keep my head down, work hard. And he said, you could become a pro. He said, or you've got the other choice. If you keep doing what you're doing or stay where you're at, you and I both know you're going to get yourself into a lot of bother. And I knew he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult because at that time as well, my parents had got divorced.
Right.
And so it was a bit of it. It was, me and my mum are tight. I'm a mummy's boy. So it was difficult to leave my mum at that time. But I knew in my heart that I needed to leave to give myself a chance of pursuing my dreams, and it turned out to be a great decision.
Was there a lot of stuff that you learned in those 3 years before you got your signing for Watford professionally that really helped you now?
Just the importance of your decision making and choosing to make the right choices. Our choices have consequences, good or bad, and so I've learned a lot in life. I really have done.
So you sign you get into the first team, which I think it was the back end of 1993. What was it like knowing that you were going to be playing your first game? When did you find out, and how did it go?
I remember training with the first team, and then making a substitute appearance. In fact, before that, I played for the reserves, which would be like playing for the under-23s now.
Yeah.
So that was really special. That was really special. And then I remember making a debut in the cup, and I scored in the cup.
Oh, wicked!
And you get a taste for it.
Yeah.
So I had a taste of what could be, and so no, it was really inspirational.
Yeah.
Kenny Jackett again did wonders for us. He was really supportive, really encouraged me, really helped me off the field. And so it was a real exciting time.
You then had a whirlwind of 3 months after joining the best team in the world. I'll just touch a little bit, but I'll let you sort of explain. But the first ever English footballer, a teenager, to be transferred, God, that must have been like... That can't be taken away, by the way. That's there. You can't change that. But how did you feel? What was the pressure like to join the team and have that amount of money spent on you?
I mean, to be fair, I wasn't even thinking about the money. When I first found out, all that was going through my mind is that, my gosh, this time next year I could be in the Premier League. I could be a Premier League player. So it was more about the football and the thoughts of travelling to Old Trafford, Highbury, Anfield. That was really special, really special.
Because it's weird now, because obviously, like, you got the transfer windows, right? But then there wasn't one, wasn't there? So you signed in March is a bit weird, but I guess that was signed for you to be there because we were obviously doing pretty well, weren't we? Which we'll come on to in a second. But did you think that when you joined that you would be in the first team, or were you thinking about more next season?
The truth of it is this: Alan Smith didn't sign me. The manager didn't sign me. It was Ron Nodes that signed me.
Right.
So I actually knew from the beginning that this was going to be a bit of a tough one, because really the manager weren't too keen on me signing. It was Ron Nodes that signed me.
Obviously, you do get involved and then called up for the under-21s. And then I'll let you explain how that went, which again was just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that was great, because so we obviously signed for Palace. I mean, long after that we got crowned champions. And then we actually went to Marbella end of season party celebration for promotion.
Yeah.
And while I was away, I knew I was on standby for the 21s, and while I was away, I got a call to say, look, someone's dropped out and they want you to come. And so I had to, so that was special. So I had to leave, get to meet up with the camp. Then we went to France. We won the tournament. I got golden boot. It was epic,
mate. Epic. God, like, again, by the way, I forgot about that. It's only when I was looking back at your history. I didn't realize the standby bit. That game just shows another madness where you're in Marbella thinking, right, I've got 3 months or 2 months to just relax and enjoy myself, getting ready for the next season, and get that call. But did you literally start the first game then, or did you come on and start playing? How did that?
I actually think I came on a sub. I think.
Wow.
And I remember I trained decent, and then I ended up playing most of the games, so I was scoring. I was terrorizing defenses.
Mate, to win under 21s, we haven't won it that many times. So again, mate, props to you, mate. That is unbelievable, by the way. So obviously won the league. What was it like playing the Premiership, and how did you find, say the obvious, about that step up? You kind of gone as a bit of a raw player and then straight into the Premiership. And you played a lot of games. So what was that like?
No, it was great. Obviously quicker, better players. I remember one of the first games I played was against Paul McGrath, who's old school, strong McGrath. I remember when he was heading the ball, he used to roar, rah!
Wow.
Like, he used to roar, but yeah, it was good. It was a great experience, like phenomenal.
And you mentioned about the team spirit and stuff when you were there, that you found that, coming over, that there was a togetherness straight away at Crystal Palace. And by the way, I was absolutely gutted that you then, we'll talk about it now, but when you left, and just before we talk about that, just out of interest, when all that talk was going about going to Barnsley, Barnsley is at Watford, right? It's Barnsley and Palace. You're not moving like around Watford, we call it London, but what was that feeling like when the clubs come in that you don't really know, the area? I don't know if you've been to Barnsley before that. How did that all come about? Why did you leave?
I just again, true story. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but well, I'm going to say it now anyway. So in principle, I'd agreed a contract with the club, Mark Goldberg. We agreed wages. My dad had spoken to him. Everything was good to go. And then at the last hour, he pulled the plug on it because Terry Venables pulled it. So he didn't want me to sign a new deal. So I was a bit gutted, to be fair, because we'd agreed everything. My son lived in Croydon, and so it was spot on. And so at the last minute, they pulled the plug on it.
Wow.
But they pulled the plug on it because of Terry Venables. And then Terry Venables went and ended up signing Lee Bradbury. And there's no way that was a good signing.
No way. That was a bad year, by the way. That was all the nose and the Goldberg. Oh my God. By the way, no, I'm not saying it because you're on here. No way, God. I was gutted. And for the amount of money you left for as well, which, bear in mind, you signed for 1.1 million, and I think these numbers are right, and about 700,000.
Yeah, yes.
How did we lose money on that deal?
Something dodgy was going on there, mate.
It must be. I can't believe that.
If I've ever seen something shady, it was that. I remember everything was agreed.
No, that's crazy.
I didn't want to leave Palace.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I didn't want to leave Palace. Everything was agreed.
Yeah.
And then at the last hour, Venables pulled the plug on it.
So you see now you're going about a couple hundred miles up to South Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Come from London, and I've been to a lot of away games. South Yorkshire and London, I would say they've always had the best of friends, are they? You always feel a little bit uncomfortable going to those areas. But so you going up there, being from London, what was that transfer like, and how did they take you on like we did?
It was funny because I'll never forget when we were driving up to talk to the club. Before I signed, and I remember we're on the M1, and my boy, you're like junction 8, then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, to junction 37. I was like, mate, this is at the other end of the world.
Yeah.
And so initially I weren't really feeling it, but as soon as I got to the club, spoke to the chairman, John Dennis, and I knew in my heart this is the place I'm meant to be.
Well, like we say, we'll come on to that bit in a minute because you obviously like it enough to still be living in the same area. So yeah, obviously, I won't go through every single transfer and stuff because you played for about 11 clubs over 17 years. Hope I got these numbers right. 469 appearances, 119 goals, so about 1 in every 4 games. I think that's pretty good. Bear in mind, you were sort of a winger stroke striker throughout your career as well. And also, you didn't really play a lot of games in the end, did you? You seemed to move around a few clubs, but it was like 5 alone. Just on that last bit then, how frustrating was that? And how did you decide to say, you know what, that's it, I'm done?
My body couldn't do what it was doing when I was younger. And I just knew in my heart, time to come to an end.
Yeah.
And then your head's saying one thing, but your body's telling you another. And I just knew that was it. It's, my time's up. It's time to hang the boots up.
So did you obviously we'll talk about what you're doing now, but did you have anything lined up, or did you have it planned anyway that you were gonna do what you're doing now before you finished your career, or
no, I mean I'd already had Love Life set up. So I already had a bit of a passion to do some stuff in the community and that. And so that was already set up, but I didn't kind of see how it's gone now. It's just things have just evolved. But I kind of knew that I was going to do some kind of events because, my life has always been around, I love seeing people happy, serving people. And so I knew I was going to do something, but I didn't know it was going to materialize how it has.
I did want to touch really quickly on the DJing part, which I know there's some negativity around that and how that had a bit of an impact on your career, especially when you were injured. And obviously I did do a podcast with Fantos, as we like to call himself. And obviously he talks about you and helping you a little bit, to get you into a few things and training you. How did that relationship start, by the way?
Was it through Mikey? I think it's through Mikey B.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, I mean, so what? It's funny actually because I was talking to my brother about this earlier that it all kind of started with me that I've always liked deck. I always had, when I was younger, I had decks. I like mixing, and then when I moved to Croydon, I started. I was going to Black Market Records. I wonder if that's still available. Is that?
Yeah,
yeah.
Obviously, people still buy vinyl, but as you know, everything's digital now. But that is there. That's still there. Yeah.
Black Market Records. I started to cut a few dub plates, and I started to get really into it. And then I remember. Do you remember Cosa Nostra?
I do. Yeah, I'm going to come on to that in a minute. Actually, Sun City, there were two that you. I've met you before, by the way. You wouldn't remember this, but we had I met you and seen you DJ. And by the way, you were good. It wasn't just because you're Bruce Dyer. You were a decent DJ.
No,
Harry's DJ. No, you were good, man. I know people go, "Oh yeah, because he's footballer, he would have got." No, I've heard DJs play. You were decent. Decent.
So I met Peter. Then obviously, I met like Dream Team, Mikey, Spoonie, and I think we met through that, and we just connected with Steve. Steve's a good guy.
He is. He was very complimentary about you, by the way. He was but he said that you've helped him by sort of saying what you should play, and he said he sort of connected you up a little bit. But we do have a friend in common because my best friend mentor was Blakey, Mr. Blakey. And that's how I met you before. Unfortunately, lost him about 18 months ago, which was really sad at 49. But I met him through you. I used to be the driver. So I used to come to a few parties, and I know he knew you as well. And that's how I met you before. But so obviously the Cosa Nostra, I've even got a tape back as well. I was a tape back person. So I've got a tape back with you on it. It was, I think, a Sun City one and a Cosa Nostra somewhere. Yeah. So, by the way, again, on the vinyl side of stuff, just really last week on DJing, do you still do some mix? I know, like, do you do anything now, DJing wise? Anything?
I it's funny actually. Over the last couple of years, I brought some Pioneers, some little decks, and so obviously because I go to church now, my life's changed. But there's some really, really good gospel garage.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it. It's brilliant.
There's some phenomenal gospel house, and so every now and then I'll set my decks up and you don't lose it. It's like riding a bike, right?
It is, exactly. I do DJing as a little bit. By the way, I'm not a Fantos level. I do it as a kind of a bit of a hobby, but a little bit of stuff. But I've done the vinyl, and I understand the difference between vinyl and digital. There's levels. So if you could do vinyl, but it's nice to hear that crispiness on a vinyl. So it's nice that you still got that. You got the love for it still, and kind of like you say, it's like riding the bike. You don't lose that love for it. So I just want to talk about the sort of going back to church and sort of finding faith again. It said, I think I read somewhere you felt like it probably changed your life. When did that happen? And I guess stating the obvious. Why did you do that? I know you had it in your family when you were younger. But...
Yeah. So what happened was the year before I became a Christian, I was in the Premier League with Palace. I remember that season. I started the season really well. I got injured, and then while I got injured, that's when I started DJing.
Yeah.
I remember there was a rave at Crystal Palace Football Club, and the chairman's daughter was in there, so she saw me in there.
Oh, no.
It got back, like Coppell absolutely hammered me, like he crucified me, and then I obviously as a footballer, you get 6 weeks off in the summer. So that's 6 weeks off. The prior to that, I remember I played at Sun City Bank Holiday weekend. That was on my birthday. I think I did Pure Silk.
Wow. Remember them, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Then I think I did a Stush event. I did so. Do you know what I mean? Then I played in Bristol. I mean, I was off for my 6 week. Then I was DJing everywhere.
Cyprus. Did you go to Cyprus to play?
No, I didn't. No, I went to but I didn't DJ there. But I actually went with Fantasy. We did Ibiza with Steve.
Right.
Then I think we went Tenerife with Dream Team actually.
Right.
And so I was just like, because I was just flat out with all this, and I was loving it, DJing there, getting paid to DJ, doing all this, thinking it was cool. And I just remember, mate, at the end of that summer, I can't explain it. It's like I hit a brick wall and I slid down and I couldn't get back up.
Right.
And I remember that what really troubled me, it was like I didn't want to play football anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
It was like I was getting into depression.
Yeah.
And what confused me was like, man, I've loved football. Yeah, I love football. I've always loved football. Why would you not want to? Why do you want to quit? And so I knew that something weren't right. And I remember my older brother, he phoned me and when I was in a really, really dark place. My brother's story is made some bad choices, ended up on crack, street robber, went to jail. He became a Christian in prison.
Wow.
And when he came out of prison, the change and the transformation in his life, it spoke to me so much. And I remember just being in a really bad place. As a kid, we used to go to church.
Wow.
And so I knew the gospel message. I knew the message of Jesus dying on the cross for the sins of the world, the message of him dying and being raised from the dead on the third day. But I can't explain it apart from when my brother began to share his journey, when I put down the phone, my experience was that it went from being a story to a reality that I could tap into something that I knew could pull me out of that dark place.
Yeah.
And that was Jesus and the gospel message. And from that day, which would have been August 1998, I've never ever looked back, and I've never ever been the same again.
Oh, mate, well done to you, mate. And I can sort of relate to a little bit because Blakey did the same thing. I remember when he was in a similar place to some of the things you just mentioned there, and he just wasn't enjoying it. He was in a pretty dark place, and he just stopped doing it because he just couldn't. So he found faith, and I'm so pleased that then, because he was not in a good way. But mate, so well done to you, mate, because that's still not an easy a flick of the switch, right? Someone telling you what you should do, you've got to want to do it. So for you to do that and to see the person you are today, I should be well proud of yourself, mate. That's absolutely amazing. Right, so I wanted to talk about Love Life UK, and by the way, I'll let you explain some more detail. God, mate, you're doing some things in South Yorkshire, man. I'll tell you something now. Again, talking about how you're supporting the community and the stuff that you do. But just for people that don't know, explain what Love Life is. It Love Life UK or Love Life Reach and stuff that you do? Explain what that is.
Yeah, so what we do, so Love Life, which the organisation, there's different branches to it. There's a community aspect where I do various stuff in the community, do stuff in schools, coaching, after school clubs, some men mentoring. We've done like a Love Life festival, like a community festival where it's music, food, football tournaments. So that's a community side to it. And then there's another branch of it. I pastor now. So there's like a Love Life church.
Congratulations.
So I'm pastor in a church. Then I've got I've got my own elite academy, and where we're coaching kids. And so we help develop kids. So we're part of one of the feeder academies to Barnsley Football Club. So there's been quite a lot of kids that have gone on to sign for Barnsley Football Club that have come through the work that we do in the community. And so we're spinning a few different plates. From in the church, sometimes we do. So I go onto the street sometimes, where we're giving food, teas, coffees to the addicts, to the homeless.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to the pandemic, I'd go into the prison, do prison ministry, and share the gospel of Jesus Christ with people in the prisons, and
Yeah.
what way we can support them. So just, love life really is well, it was birthed out of, there's a Bible verse in John 10:10 where it says Jesus came where we might have life and have life in all its fullness. Our heart has always been, to bring life to people through the gospel of Jesus Christ, and also just use the gifts that I believe God's given me to serve my community in a positive, inspirational way. That's always been my heart and vision.
Honestly, mate, God, that is absolutely amazing. Think about what you just said about where you were. I didn't know this stuff, by the way. It's only because I've done my research. Could I imagine you doing all this stuff when you Simon Palace? No, not at all. But see what you've done now. I guess I've got a couple of questions about that, by the way. But you mentioned you're spinning a couple of plates. Bloody hell, mate! You're doing more than a couple of plates. What you're doing is absolutely amazing. How nice is it to see someone that you've been involved with through their football sides, kind of to the elite, and then they get to sign? Do you feel like say proud, but it's that a lovely feeling? Take the kids out of the situation, but your own people that you've helped.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, one of my dreams have always been, just like Kenny Jackett supported and helped me. One of my dreams and my goals has always been like, Lord, I really want to be able to be a Kenny Jackett to someone.
Wow.
and contribute to a young kid fulfilling their dreams. And so it's been great. It's been awesome. So there's been quite a few kids that we've played a really important role in their progression and their development into an academy, and it's been really good. It's priceless.
So anyone that you could tell us, sort of that you feel like it's going to be, not saying Messi or Ronaldo, but is anyone that you think, you know what, not to put any pressure on, by the way, but just anyone you think, watch out for this boy or girl?
I won't give no names, but I could name a couple.
Is there any sort of plans around what you're doing now, where you talk about your little branches and stuff? Have you got any more exciting stuff around love life that you might want to share with people now?
No, I mean, at the minute, that's it. Like church, like I said, community stuff, the outreach stuff that we're doing. Hopefully just to grow and to impact more people. And I love telling people about Jesus. I really do. He's changed my life.
Yeah,
everything I do is based off my relationship with Christ.
Yeah,
that's where I get my inspiration from, and I say that because there is a Bible verse that Jesus said these two things. Said, love the Lord thy God with all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength. But he also said this: love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yeah.
And so I really do have a genuine passion to love people, and
I can see that,
and being inspirational to people.
You could just see how you are and as a person, and the passion, and some of the stories I've read and stuff, and you've got, like, obviously it's not just you on your own, you've got a bit of a team that support you with all this stuff, and that's a big part of what you're doing. So yes, okay, I've got a few more questions about that. So in regards to, if you was to look back at yourself as that 18 or 19-year-old, I probably know the answer to this, but what advice would you give yourself, Bruce, back then? If you just go talk to yourself back at 18 years old, what would you say to him? And would he listen?
I would have, if I had a bit more. I think I would have. I wouldn't have DJ'd.
Right.
I wouldn't have clubbed. I would never have drunk alcohol. I would definitely not have done those things. And I would have been more focused and more disciplined, definitely.
And with regards to that, and again, I thought, if I'm honest, like that I thought that you had more potential, and this is no disrespect, by the way. I felt like the way you were going, and I think injuries and stuff as well that didn't help. But do you look back and have a few regrets on that? Cool. And also, where do you think that you could have gone to?
I should have played for England.
Yeah, you should have done.
And I say that when I went to France, Toulon, the under-21s, which we won, I finished top goal scorer. In my team was Jamie Redknapp, Sol Campbell, Robbie Fowler.
Wow.
I mean, there was a whole heap of players that went on to be established Premier League players, and they were no different to me. I finished top goal scorer. The difference between them and me was I made some bad decisions at key moments.
And do you think it's also for the team that you played for? Okay, no, I'm mugging my own team off here, but what I'm saying is when you play Crystal Palace or Liverpool, and you might be a similar. Do you think players get picked because of the club?
Oh, of course they do. Well,
Yeah.
look, Gareth went on to sign for Villa. Chris Coleman went to Blackburn. Chris Armstrong went to Tottenham.
Yeah.
And so Palace is always a great team to be at. I call it a platform club, no shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
The issues and the problem was Bruce Dyer, nobody else.
Right.
The problem was me. I stopped me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I could go back and give myself some advice, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done.
And Joe, one of the things that I wanted to mention about you talk about these things that you do every single day. You talk about these 7 steps. I was watching one of your podcasts, and you were talking about the 7 steps that you do now, or you were doing back then about hard work and sort of like have those determinations and the opportunities and stuff. Where did that come from, by the way? Those 7 things, was it Kenny Jackett, or was it something that you sort of?
It's just things that Kenny Jackett taught me. And again, so I go into schools and sometimes do motivational days.
Yeah.
So seven keys to fulfilling your dreams. And so there's these 7 things that I, Bruce Dyer, applied in my life that I believe were really key to me becoming a history maker and me to become the professional football player. A lot of those things I still do to this day. The principles that I still strive to do even now, and I'm 47.
Yeah. And you know what, by the way, all those, we'll finish on the football bit in a second. By the way, no one can take away your records that you've done, by the way. That teenage one will stay there forever, which is, again, is like a massive thing. To do what you did in those 3 months as well, that still just amazes me. I don't know if you've got something that sort of reflects that. And just on the under-21, do you get caps at 21s, or is it just England?
No, 21s you get caps.
Yeah, you get caps.
Yeah. I've got a few at home. Yeah.
What do you do? By the way, because I can't show it here, but I've got like a Zaha frames and stuff. I collect lots of things and put them in frames. Have you got like a memory room like that with all your little memorabilia and stuff?
Yeah, I've got a room where it's got a few bits up that are there to me. Yeah.
So taking away the record of being the transfer wise, what's been your biggest achievement in football, would you say? The one that you look back and say, that's the one I'm most proud of?
Yeah, I think being sold for £1.25 million.
Yeah.
Being promoted to the Premier League has been special moments. Scoring some really important goals for Barnsley that got them to Wembley for the first time in this club's history. I've had some really memorable moments.
So what is the one thing you want to challenge about yourself in the next year?
Good question. I want to spend more time with my family.
Yeah.
More time with my family.
Yeah. Is that hard because about the things that you do? Is it all more work related stuff that you're just different times and stuff?
Yeah, I mean it can be. I'm really thankful for my wife. She's really gracious. If she wasn't how she was, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate that. I think sometimes being a bit more I need to be a bit more balanced. But my family are mint. They're special. My wife is special, and my kids, they're really special. I'm really super blessed to have them.
Is any of your other kids play football at all, or playing at any level that you're just?
Yeah, I've got another son who plays. He's an under 15
at Barnsley as well.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, wicked, nice. I guess that must be. But your house on a Christmas or in your garden must be brilliant for football, right? Is it quite a competitive environment? I don't know, when you've been ball games or football. What's that like with the family?
Yeah, it can be. It can be pretty competitive, but yeah, great.
You got to be careful. You don't do any bad tackles or injure anybody. How do you want to be remembered?
Good question. How do I want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as the Christian that loved Jesus, that contributed to making a difference in people's lives.
Last question. What's next for you?
Just improving the things that I do, my elite academy, church, community stuff, just reaching more people in a positive, inspirational way. So just expanding what I'm already doing. I don't think I necessarily even need to do any more. I just need to expand what I'm doing, and you can always make things better.
Would you ever become the Crystal Palace football manager?
No chance.
No. Would you ever get back in the professional game other than what you're doing now? Is there anything that interests you at all?
Nah, not really. Just what I'm doing as it is. Like, I'm a feeder club, one of the feeder academies for Barnsley. So no, that's all right. But never say never. That's what I've learned.
Right. By the way, thank you so much. Is there anything like you want? I haven't touched on at all, Bruce. You want to mention? Is there anything that people I haven't said or asked that you want to talk about before we finish?
You can just check us out on Instagram, Bruce 10 Dyer, Twitter, Bruce 10 Dyer, Facebook official Bruce Dyer page, faith-based church if you're into church Christianity, and you can Google Love Life UK church.co.uk. And I think that's it.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure as a kind of Palace fan and to spread your story. And mate, to see what you were at Palace and see what you are now, mate, you should be so proud of yourself, mate.